Okay, so now we're actually ready to do the first step of actually getting data from Oracle into Confluent Kafka. And we've created our own nice little view. We've got order data loaded. Well, let's get this puppy rolling and put the data in Kafka so we can move it to MongoDB. We'll start by going to Confluent Cloud. I'm going to open this in a new tab and then opening up the Amazon RDS console. So we'll start here, and when we log in, it brings us to this environment page. All the different things we can do, set up a connector, databases, use cases, things of that nature. We're interested in our environments, so we're actually going to go in here. And we could add a connector, but I'd like to show you how to do this through the default environment. So go into default. We can see our cluster, and within our cluster, I can now manage connectors and do some other things. When we go into connectors, we can actually pick one that we like and start using it. One of the other things I wanted to do, if we go into overview, see networking, you can actually see the networking in the dashboard, all sorts of good things. Let's go back to the over here, set up a connector. What I wanted to do is talk to you about a schema registry and the importance of that, being able to actually have data types as we talk to Oracle and maintain those data types when we put it into MongoDB. And so I'm going to actually go here, see, there we go. So basically it says enable stream governance to access schema registry, stream catalog, and stream lineage. So we want to go ahead and enable this. I just want the essentials for free. And we pick a region in AWS. Oh, this is upgrade. Hold on, I don't want to upgrade. We will use Ohio US East 2 because I would like to keep costs at a bare minimum. So we'll go ahead and enable this. Now we have schema registry capabilities. So this is the endpoint if we were going to do this through our client, but since we're using the connector architecture, we don't really have to do this. But I will say, let's find online notepad. It's always nice to have the ability to come in and just keep track of stuff. So what I'm going to do is go back into this, just copy this, and obviously you'll have your own notes or your own place to put these type of things. So it's just kind of nice to have that handy. We'll go back into our environment now that we've got the schema registry started, and we will go to connectors. Over here I can actually talk about Oracle. And we have a CDC premium that costs a little bit of money. We've got a database sync connector. And we have an Oracle database source. This is using JDBC, and it has a much lower cost entry point. So when I add an Oracle database source connector, we're going to basically give it a topic prefix, and I'm going to say Oracle. We'll hit continue, and then we need to know how are we going to access the connector to the Kafka cluster, to the Confluent Cloud Kafka cluster. So I'm actually going to generate an API key and download it. And so that actually downloaded the API key, but it also gave me a key and a secret. So what we'll do is we'll copy these, we'll put it in our handy little notepad. This is the key, and then the corresponding secret that goes with that is here. And we'll put that over here. So all good. Now we go back to our console. We'll go ahead and continue. This is Oracle Connect. We'll just call it connector. Connector key. Continue. Connection host. This is where we get this information here from the AWS Management Console. Basically, we're at the console home. If you go into services, you can go to database, and then from here you can go to RDS, or you can click on that link that's out here, and it'll go into the RDS console for you. Here we have the ability to create a database, but we also have database instances that are running. So I go into Kafka Congo. This is the Oracle database instance, and it gives me the connectivity information that I need. So I can put this into here as the connection host and the port 1521. Connection user, we set that up earlier, so it's written with my secret password. Database type, we're going to use the service name, and the service name is ORCL. We don't need a trust store or anything like this, but you can do this as well. It's a little bit outside the scope of the lab, but we'll continue forward. It doesn't like my password. I am not going to save this, but that's good. So table names. Now, I gave you a table name when we created it earlier. This is actually a view that we're going to be selecting from. It's customer order products by store. And so we can actually do where we did a select star from that just to test that everything was working. And we can actually use that in our connector. That's where we're going to. It's not just a table, it's a view that we're going to be hitting. So it says, okay, tables or views. Now I can actually specify the output record format. I could do JSON, Avro, JSON SR, protobuf. If I use JSON SR, I get to use the schema registry. So that's kind of what I want to do. There's some advanced configurations in a time zone. We're in Central Standard Time, or at least I am. I think that'll work. Show advanced configurations. You can do all sorts of different things, timestamp, column, all different ways of pulling the data out. We can actually look at a incrementing column name, and I can actually pull that in, and I believe that's order ID. So go back here. Yes, order ID. And this will actually allow it to tell when it's got new orders and pull them in based on the last time it pulled in that order ID. That's just one way to do it. You don't need to set this up, but it's kind of nice to have it. Pull interval in milliseconds. Looks like every 5 seconds it's going to hit and pull the data out of Oracle. That's good for me. And this is how the JDBC connector works. It's actually pulling data from the database. I can also go to a particular timestamp if I was using a timestamp column and say I wanted to start at a certain date and time, or I could just go and pull all the records back, which is kind of what I'm going to be doing with the order ID. The CDC connector allows you to actually use Oracle Log Miner to detect changes and push those in as they occur. This is free and or cheap and easy, which is great. So I'm going to go with this. So we go ahead and say continue. Number of tasks, and you can see it's about 3 cents an hour. I have a spare nickel. I think I can do this in an hour. So we'll set this up. I'm going to have it set to one task. This is how you can parallelize the throughput, make it parallel processing. I have 6, 10, however many tasks I want, but I think this is good for me. So we'll start with the one task. Give it a name. I'll call it Oracle Customer Orders Connector, right? So we know what that is. Show advanced configurations, and we can actually save off this config information. You can put this into a Terraform script or things of that nature, which is really nice to be able to build this with a CI/CD pipeline or things of that nature. So everything looks good. We are ready to rock and roll. So I will go ahead and say continue. And notice that we didn't have to install anything on the Oracle side. We just provided connectivity information. And the connector is now being provisioned. This is great because this is basically codeless software. I just told it where to go to get the information, how to get the information. And now it's going to start pulling that data in. When it does actually finish provisioning and get data in, it's going to actually begin to create a topic for us automatically based on the prefix name and everything, and it did. So we actually can see the Oracle customer products, the partitions, and data that's flowing in. So far it hasn't flowed in yet, but I can actually go in here and take a look at the schema if it's created yet. Okay, customer properties 10, customer ID, email address, full name, items, order date, order ID. It's a number, right? And it's actually defined how this is going to be used, which is incredibly fantastic. Now other developers can see the schema. They can actually know how to write their code. Great stuff. It was created for me by the connector. So we'll now go into our topics, and we'll actually see that we get some data that's coming in. So I'm going to actually take a look at this topic, and I can see the production and consumption of the things that are coming through. I'm going to go and take a look at the messages. as they come in. I believe we're getting, we'll just take a look, give it a couple of seconds. 1001, 2, 3, 4, 5, and do we get some more, or did it pull them all in? It may have pulled them all in. So we can jump to a particular offset. The very beginning is offset 0. If we take a look at this data, we pull it in, and we can see we do have some really good information. It looks to me that the certain fields have been either changed or encrypted. I'm curious to see what's going on here. And then we will actually take a look at the created date and time. Everything looks good. So notice that we have the full name, store ID. Interesting that the store ID is such online. I'm wondering if it's actually converted this to, not sure what's going on there, but that's interesting to see. So we actually have the data flowing in to the topics and partitions. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next part of it where we actually put this data into MongoDB.